Alright, since we're going to be setting up this scene in Maya, we can work on things like the glass here. Let's say this glass is, I need it to be a little different. I can go into the textures and make sure it's only showing the color map. And you'll see here's that face. Well, if I want it to look a little different, I'll just grab the UVs and move them over a little bit. And there I got a different variation. Okay, another thing, just grab this face. And try to right click to UV, there we go. Move this one down. Maybe move it over here. Good. And I'm just going to random up a couple of these. I'm not going to spend the time to do every window, but to make the scene look nice, you know, just do what you can. Don't have to do every window over and over times how many windows we're going to have, because there's going to be a lot of windows. Perfect. Alright, so we're going to repeat that. In this case, all these objects are well aligned. I could check that in my top view. In my top view, I can hit 4 on the keyboard, and I can see that, you know, they're pretty well lined up, but I can make really fine adjustments here by just going like this. I could do the same with this wall. And just trying to get that nice and snapped. You can also use Alt and the arrow tools to align the pieces. So if you need a fine adjustment, that's a great way to do that. Okay, 6 on the keyboard. I have now a good pattern started. It needs a transition between this and this. To do that, I'm going to be using this piece. Okay, you'll notice that this piece is rather big for the design. And if I was to use it again, what would happen is it wouldn't quite have the tileability here. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to be using the grout lines to my advantage and just move these a little bit so I can get a grout line on the ends. Perfect. Now the resolution's a little poor on these. I could repair that by making another custom texture just for this object. I'm going to be actually shrinking it quite a bit and then using it over and over again like that. And that also works for kind of repairing the texture. So Shift D. Perfect. So it has a good tileability. Every time it adds a new one, the two grout lines meet. Good. Alright, you'll also notice that I have this end piece. It's rather big. These go on the very end and offer a little bit more randomness. So again, I would have to do that thing that I did before. I would have to make these so they blend together. Okay, good. And I want to end that on a grout line. Good. And down at the bottom also, I want to end that in a grout line. So once we build this, it'll be 100% ready for game import. Once you get, to that stage of game development. In this class, we're not covering the importing into the engine, but certainly that asset is available to you if you want to, work a little extra outside of class. Let's say you get done with this class and you want to work on what is the next step, and that you can go to youtube.com/cannedmushrooms and look for my texture rendering and lighting class, and then also look for my level design class in the UDK. Okay, this shell needs to be flipped upside down. There we go, that's better. Much better. And I'm just going to make sure that in my top view, those match up. In fact, they do not. I have to move them quite a bit this way. 4 on a keyboard again will allow you to scosh the items around. Oh, and I aligned that with that bigger piece, so one sec. I should have aligned it with the smaller pieces in the background. So this one right here. Great. Now I can repeat the pattern of the glass and the windowsills. And the top part. This top part as this bottom part. So Shift D, move that up. And I see now that I have to repair this top part. Okay, grabbing the UVs, moving them down just a little bit because they're crawling outside the 0 to 1. We don't want that. And that's looking pretty snazzy. Great. I can now duplicate this piece over. Now once as I said, once I get this to the point where it starts to tile very easy, I can start making this structure very big very quickly. Alright, in this case, now that I have these pretty well set in stone, I'm just going to say edit, delete by type history. And also I want to get rid of the scales. Freeze transformations. That way, I like these two next to each other, and I could start thinking about combining them. Now, combining them is a very permanent solution. Another solution would be group these together with a modify center pivot. Now, if I want to get to that group, I can simply go into Window Outliner and see the group. And this group could be renamed here. So I'll call it wall pattern 1. And now anytime I want to grab that group and duplicate the entire thing, I can just go to wall pattern 1, Shift D, and move it. And then hit Shift D again and again and again, and you can see I'm starting to build this huge warehouse. Pretty cool. Alright, once we get to an area where it's rather big like this, we're going to now look at the other side in randomness. Okay, so adding some random characters into it so it doesn't look so boring. That's in the next video.